Hi everyone, I'm Alex from Unearthed. Joining me is Holly, my colleague. So we've had a lot of questions between the difference between our process at Unearthed for challenges and a normal tendering process. So we thought we'd do a quick video to just introduce the two and talk about the differences between these two. So Holly, can you describe a bit what's the difference between the tendering process and the open innovation?
Sure, so I guess the fundamentals of a tendering process, essentially an organisation is in need of a good or service and they basically invite people to submit a proposal or a bid to offer that goods or service. So essentially they already know kind of quite a lot about what they want. Open innovation on the other hand is about solving a problem. So in this case people are asking for proposals or bids around how they might solve a problem, but with no expectation of doing that in a specific way.
Thank you. And what is good about a tendering process?
So one of the things that I think is really similar to open innovation and tendering is that we're really trying to break down that barrier of traditional business development where it's all about relationships. So tendering can be a good equalizer in the sense that you don't need to have spent years building up those relationships to be awarded that deal. On the flip side, however, the differences between open innovation is it can be very restrictive. For organisations, they have to meet a lot of strict criteria, and it also can take a really long time to go through that process and take many days, weeks and things to submit a tender. On the flip side, open innovation challenges, the idea is that they're very easy to submit to, it shouldn't take very much time. We would hope that someone can fill in a submission process in a number of hours, less than half a day, ideally even 1 hour, so we want to make it really easy for people to do.
That's good. And when do you think a business should consider going into an open innovation challenge, and what kind of information should they be looking for?
So obviously in open innovation challenges we're kind of thinking about solving a problem. So I think the initial thing is obviously, do you think you have the technology and the capability to solve that problem? Then I think the key for you would be to have a look at the description of the challenge and try and understand what the next steps the business is going to take after the challenge finishes. So what's the time frame to implement something? What's the budget to do that? What information can you get to assess, like, is this actually a good opportunity for you as a business? And definitely check the IP clauses on that side of things as well to make sure that it suits what you're trying to do.
Definitely. Do all open innovation platforms take the same approach?
No, they don't, and I think this is a key challenge for us in terms of how we communicate about what we're doing, and particularly around IP clauses. So a lot of open innovation platforms have a bad reputation of just trying to steal ideas. So it's really important to have a look at those terms and conditions and understand what you're giving away, what if there's a real opportunity for you, and making sure that you're happy with that. So our focus is on IP always stays with the innovator, and that there's no kind of transfer of that, but it's definitely important to check.
Thank you. So some platforms appear to have prices for their open innovation challenge and others don't. Why is that?
Yeah, great question. So definitely when there's an IP transfer, you tend to have prize money, and that can be quite large. So if you look at NASA is the classic, they do lots of open innovation challenges. Prize money can be in the millions of dollars sometimes. And that really makes a lot of sense if you're asking people to hand over their IP. From an Unearth's perspective, we never ask people to hand over any IP, and we're really about setting up opportunities for people to build commercial relationships with new customers. So we've actually taken away prizes because actually we found that quite confusing for people at times, and so we think currently what we do works better.
Yeah, and you've probably seen thousands of submissions by now. Do you have top 5 tips for people that are submitting to a Unearthed challenge?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say, first, before you even start your submission, check that opportunity is right for you. That would be my number 1 tip. And secondly, check the terms and conditions and make sure that they're also right for you. Then when you get started on your submission, definitely less is more. There are often lots of submissions to open innovation challenges, so make sure you get across your key points as clearly as you can. On that, my 4th tip would be think about getting creative and definitely think about video content. It's a great way of communicating easily and quickly what your product does and the capability of your team. And finally, make sure you are working with a platform that's going to give you feedback. Like, there's nothing worse than spending time doing a submission and it going into the ether and not getting anything back. So yeah, make sure you chase that feedback as well.
Perfect. And I will add a nice title, a catchy title.
Yes, catchy title.
Well, thank you, Holly.
Thank you.